Streaming. Alright, OBS is green. YouTube is green. And Twitch is green. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the only game that we have for you on week 4 of League 1 Season 10. Penn State is on a bye this week after their loss to Washington State in that I thought it was a great game. I thought both of us did a really good job. It's a heartbreaking loss, of course, but it was to the number 1 team in the country, and who now has to turn around again and play another user at a very good USC. So that's what we're going to get into. And because this is another user, we want to get into it quickly. So we're going to go and take a quick look at USC's roster and then get into the game. So USC has a 96 quarterback, but in their most recent game, they've been starting the number 2, who's an 81, because this guy's an athlete, and this guy has speed and an ability to throw on the run and do a lot more of the stuff that the option and run for yardage, which we know DrJocular, the coach of USC, wants to be able to do. So we're not sure which of those two quarterbacks we're going to see. Now you can see here, halfback, they've got a 99 and a 98. Incredible halfbacks, great for the option. The first quarterback, Mr. Cade here, Dustin, he also receives the ball. Thornton does not. And that 50 yards, that's a lot of receiving, especially for halfback. So we're going to be interested to see whether or not this is a 1-back or a 2-back or 1-back with a back on the line. And as you can see, you know, if we go back to fullback, he actually has Thornton in the second halfback as his first fullback. And what that's going to do is that's going to put, in things like the shotgun split that I use, that's going to put the second halfback in on the right. We're looking at a good receiving core. Mr. Spencer's fantastic, but only gets about 46 yards a game. And not a whole lot of receptions to anyone besides Tyrell Future is having a lot of yards a game. Looks like he's probably the slot receiver. Fourth receiver could be, if he's coming out in 4 wide, maybe a slot receiver. Who knows what Mr. Future is? We do know that he's fast. Henry, does the tight end get much? Not a whole lot either. Yes, Leon, I am on a bye this week. All right, offensive line, again, moving quickly through it. 82, 92, 79, 78, freshman, 75. So that is from the center right. That is weak. They're good freshmen, but they're freshmen. That 92 is doing a lot of work, and we can understand now why he wants a mobile quarterback, because he needs to be able to move outside the pocket with that offensive line. Defensively, solid left end at 86, solid right end at 88. That's a fantastic D tackle. And a really good second D tackle. So he can definitely afford the 4-man front, because it's going to be a strength. Great outside linebacker, great middle linebacker, a great linebacking core. That is clearly the strength of the defense. If there might be higher rated people other places, but by having that much, yeah, it might be the best linebacking core in the country, and they're going to be able to cover a lot of other sins, like the third cornerback not being great. You expect to see linebackers stay on the field maybe longer than usual. Yeah, and then good kickers with a kick power of 96. He's going to have long yardage. Yeah, if there's a weak link, it's going to be strong safety. But I think with those linebackers, they can come and help out. You know, the strong safety is going to have help. The free safety is going to help. So USC, a strong team, and so now we're we've looked through it. We've seen Washington State before, so we're not going to go through that with you guys again. We're going to get right into USC versus Washington State. All right, and I'm looking for... As always, Coach Spectre liking to make things hard on the ref when they're trying to figure out whether or not his receiver's feet are in bounds. So you're so I was being a bit facetious there, Leon. So whether or not a receiver's legs are in bounds is something that is simulated in the game. Does the uniform selection have an effect on that in the game? No, I don't believe it does. It's just funny because I like to have, particularly with my players, I like to have players with white or bright socks and shoes so I can see them. And he likes to have dark ones.
That's what I played with.
But no, that's not something that I don't believe that actually affects the in-game stuff. Interestingly enough, though, a number of years ago, when the NFL started doing its October, pink gear for breast cancer thing, which we can discuss the merits of at another time or not at all, because that's a complicated issue. After the first time they did it, not the first time they did it, because the first time they did it was ribbons and small stuff. But then there was one year where it became big and everybody was wearing pink shoes and pink socks. But yeah, so after the first game of that, where players in the NFL were all wearing pink shoes and all wearing pink socks, the refs came out and said, "We love this. It's so much easier to see whose feet are in and outside of bounds." They absolutely adored it. Now, since then, they've moved away from that, unfortunately. But let's get to the game that we're about to start. And best of luck to both coaches. Mr. Barker, it's good to have you. You have not yet missed anything except the coin toss, and me probably talking too long about pink shoes. Welcome to sunny Southern California.
The quarterback brings his troops out onto the field for the first drive of the game. They spread the field in the gun with 5 wide receivers. And that looked like a pretty good move as they called timeout before the play clock ran out.
If you mean talk as in talk with audio, the answer to that question is no. I can see you in chat and I can reply to you in chat, but I don't have the facility for you to be audio as well. So, Jeff, if you know Jeff, is Coach Jocular, and he is the coach of USC. Washington State, his coach is sitting next to me, and he is Coach Spectre.
So here comes the offense taking the field for the first time today.
Interesting early timeout spend from Washington State.
And he's taken down at about the 25-yard line.
And an excellent defensive play there to stop the option for no yardage from USC. Fantastic catch on the short route for Pauly Shore there. Great reach for it in coverage and good yards after contact. I don't know if it's yards after the tackle, but it's yards after contact. For third and manageable.
It's third down, and they're about 2 yards shy of the sticks. They come out in a 5-wide set. Quick out to his receiver. He's at midfield. Inside the 30.
Some impressive maneuvering there to beat a couple of tackles and then juke and beat another tackle to turn that into long yardage from this short game on a Washington State classic, really on any down, the 5-wide middle slant. You'll see Washington State call that on short yardage, on long yardage, on 1st and 10, on 3rd and 2. It's always something that's in the playbook. It's not just a situational play for them.
From the 21-yard line. First down. And he's level at the 19.
We see a halfback run to Pauly Shore. He gets short yardage after running into the back of his center.
It's second down and 8. Ball on the 19-yard line. Scrambling around.
When you feel pressure like that, the worst thing you want to do is just to throw the ball into cover. He got away with one right there. He's very fortunate. Next time he should just throw it away out of bounds.
The quarterback in the gun with 5 receivers.
Good pressure there from USC leads to the 3rd and long.
He scrambled. Inside the 10. Slides down to the ground. So the ground game picks up another first down.
This really works on a defensive psyche. You can see the guys on defense.
I'm not sure, but I suspect that might have been a pre-snap read on the part of Coach Spectre in Washington State, seeing that, knowing where his routes are going to go, that he might be able to break that scramble out to the left. I'm being told that rather than that, it was the opportunity that presented of catching USC mid-audible is what led to that. Coach, how many years has Pauly Shore been a starter at Washington State for? Because this isn't his first year as a starter.
He started seeing the field 2 years ago. This is the second year as a starter.
So,
3 years, yeah. He's been third year on the field, second year as a starter.
yeah, so Pauly Shore's third year on the field, second year as the starting halfback for Washington State. Washington State definitely, over these first 4 weeks, transitioning into a playbook that includes not a lot of runs, like a punch you in the gut team like you might see in the Big Ten, but definitely more runs than we've ever seen from Washington State before, as we continue to see Washington State's playbook evolve. Something you'll find is true of many coaches. If you're not learning new plays, if you're not developing your playbook, actively moving forward, you're moving backwards. And I have been a culprit of doing that myself and stagnating for seasons on end in certain circumstances.
So here we go. It's 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line. Boy, was he drilled as he let go of that.
As excellent coverage gives Vincent Vega no options on 3rd and goal. Coach Jocular of USC mentioned that he had told a number of his coworkers about this game. Uzziah, I take it you are one of them. As Washington State starts the scoring of this game with a field goal. And you've got to believe that USC is looking at that and saying, hey, after that big pass, we're pretty happy with keeping them to a field goal. Well, it's a pleasure to have you, Uzziah. You can follow me on Twitch, and you'll get an alert every time that we start a game. Unfortunately, we don't get to broadcast many of USC's games, of Buck's games. Only the ones where he is playing either myself or Washington State. Washington State is more likely because they're in the same conference now. But it's unfortunately going to be an infrequent thing. But if you like what you see from Washington State, feel free to come back for more. It is an impressive display, and I have to say I've learned a lot both watching Washington State and actually I've continued to learn by having to commentate. I think that's something that's worth actually saying is I got very used to Washington State's playbook and over the past couple of years have been paying less and less attention to Washington State's games. But now that I have to comment on them, I'm paying more attention and learning more than I have in the last couple seasons right before we started streaming on Twitch.
The quarterback leads the team out on the field for the first drive.
Yeah, and as you can see, this is not something that I'm trying to turn into anything where it's like tons of followers and all that kind of junk. It's it's mainly for people who follow the league, like other members of the league, like R. Barker and our number one fan, Leon. But we're a small group, and I think that's fantastic.
Second down, 10 to go. Ball on their own 41.
We see Washington State coming out with a 3-man front in response to the 4 wide receivers and 1 back of USC.
And he hits him hard at the 49.
The long run gives USC a 3rd and 1 here. Taking their time. Coming out with an interesting formation. 2 halfbacks and 1 tight end. No fullback. 2 wide receivers. I'll be honest, I don't know what kind of play that was. It might have been a screen I'm unfamiliar with. A quick screen, I don't know. But 4th and 1 is a difficult decision here on the 49-yard line.
He's going to aim this one to the sideline, trying to kick it out of bounds. Too much leg into that punt. They'll bring it out to the 20.
An excellent defensive stand there from Washington State.
Short with your team in this situation, you gotta go for it.
A good job on their last drive, getting 3. Let's see if they can get some more on this drive. Washington State holds a field goal lead. Tackle around the 15-yard line.
The pickup of 4 turns 2nd and long into 3rd, and not quite as long, but still fairly long.
Downfield later to take advantage of the defense starting to cheat up.
It's 3rd and 11. Ball on the 19. They'll spread the field here. Let's see what the defense does with a 5-wide outlook.
The pass to Ernst Blofeld is short of 1st down.
Aggressive defense. It's tough for the offense to get any rhythm going when a defense is blitzing like this. They're sending guys from everywhere.
Will be the return man. He hits a low one there. He steps out.
An excellent punt from Washington State there. Washington State doesn't punt often. The fact that USC got them 2 punts, they should be very glad about. But as you can see, very good job of punting, even if if it had gone out of bounds, or there were a lot of things going for that punt there. It is a technique that he has developed.
But a deficit this manageable shouldn't be in the front of their mind. They just need to go out there and play. And down he goes around the 21-yard line. It's 2nd down, 7 to go. Ball on the 21-yard line. 18-yard line.
Excellent jump on the option.
After one quarter of play, and we've got a low-scoring defensive battle on our hands. 3-0 Cougars. And we're back for more action here in quarter number 2. They come out in an empty backfield. He's going to try and scramble. Throws quick to the receiver, and it falls incomplete.
As we now see another punt from USC.
London is back deep to return the punt. Gets it away. It's low. London takes it to the 45. He gets out to about the 42-yard line. With one quarter down, I really haven't seen too much separation between these two squads. Might be neck and neck the whole way. Washington State.
Excellent field position for Washington State.
Now he tries to buy some time.
Calls a long pass to draw the defenders away and takes the first down run that the coverage made available. Gets out of bounds so as to not get hit late. As you can see, very important for managing Vincent Vega's stamina. He's a senior, but he's never had the best lungs. As we see a fairly low-scoring game, both for USC and Washington State, into the second quarter.
Ball on the 26-yard line. Makes it out to about the 13.
The designed quarterback run to Vega goes for long yardage, thanks to a great blocking. That's what made that play happen. Is great blocking and one broken tackle that changed it from a first down to a first down and 3. So, not really. What stats go up in the off season is determined by which position a player plays. So a halfback is going to go up in running and stamina and ball carrier vision and carrying, and maybe in catching, but probably not. A wide receiver is going to go up in catching, but not ball carrying or ball carrier vision. But they are going to get route running. So what position a player is determines what stats go up. It's not something you can actually choose to say, I want this guy to focus on catching because he's my slot receiver. He doesn't need speed. There are certain things like speed and agility, the things that both Coach Spectre and I like to talk about as the athletic attributes: speed, agility, acceleration, strength, that tend not to go up very much, or when they do go up in small increments. So when you get a fast receiver versus getting a possession receiver, they're always going to have that stat balance for the duration of their career, and when they get amazing at something, they're going to get amazing at the thing they were already pretty good at. As we see an excellent read on the option from USC in order to get a tackle for loss, making it 2nd and goal with 5 minutes to go in the second. And the hard hit turns the reception for inches into an incompletion. 3rd and goal from the 4. I thought for a second there that once again Washington State had broken USC's defense by snapping the ball in the middle of audible movement on USC's part, but it turned out into they able to I think the linebacker from USC managed to recover, and that's not surprising considering how good the linebacking core of USC is.
Here we go. 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line. They spread the field in the gun with 5 wide receivers.
That is an unusual receiver for Washington State to throw to on the middle slant, but that's who was open. If it looks ugly and it works, it ain't ugly. So the other thing I should say is that there are a number of things for your offensive and defensive coordinators that are perks that you can say, okay, because my offensive or defensive coordinator is really good at coaching this, everybody on my team is going to get. For example, the offensive coordinator's 3 options are better throw accuracy and passing because he's a quarterback coach, better route running, and the 3 catching attributes, catching traffic, and spectacular catch, or better halfback stuff, carrying, ball carrier vision, elusiveness, and trucking. So you can pick to put points in those, and that's going to give all of your halfbacks, all of your quarterbacks, all of your receivers bonuses to those stats for games. That's a way to pick that, but that's a static bonus based on how many perks you've spent on that thing.
You think about the challenges these 2 teams are facing. On one side,
On the defensive side, you get to choose between man coverage and zone coverage, pretty much. There's plenty of things like that would be wonderful to have in this game that I would totally be doing in order to tweak guys into exactly the kind of molds that I want, but that aren't possible. Just like it's not possible to call the kinds of ineligible receiver plays that the Pats used against the Ravens a number of years ago. It's just not in the game. As we see, Washington State has gotten USC after 3 incompletions to 3rd and 10. You see them bringing not only bringing pressure, but mixing up the pressure from a bunch of different angles. And a combination of different front lines.
he passes it. Incomplete pass. And he misses his wide receiver there.
Yeah, you're right. This is an area that he's worked so hard to improve since day one. The accuracy of his throws. He's improved, but as you can see, he's upset here with himself.
So not really, no. One of the and this is an example of what you'll immediately recognize. This is what I consider to be a perk tax. Both the offensive and defensive coordinators have a perk that's at the first tier of takeable perks that improves stamina by, I think it's 10, 25, 50% stamina. And honestly, you have to take them. Not taking those is, you're intentionally playing with a bad handicap. So they're a perk tax. That's the closest thing to making people run marathons, people run hills. Honestly, for knowledge of football reasons, running hills better than making them run marathons for the kind of thing that you want in this game. It's the difference of kinesthesiology. But no, besides the perk tax, there's no way to, which increases your entire team's stamina. There's no way for Coach Spectre, for example, to say, you know what, Mr. Vega, you've got enough throw power and enough throw accuracy. You're going to spend less time with your receivers throwing passes and more time doing wind sprints. There's not a facility for telling players how much time they spend doing what. But yeah, otherwise I would say, yeah, Mr. Vega, you should be running hills. I mean, that's, I think anybody who loves football can't help but be a big fan of Remember the Titans, because it's a great movie. But as a coach, one of the things that I love is, you drop a pass, you run a mile. You miss a block, you run a mile. I would love to be able to have that kind of regime. Coach, Leon says that Vega should stop skipping leg day.
He's going to have 100 yards rushing by the end of the game, so I think his legs are just fine.
Coach says he's going to have 100 yards rushing by the end of the day. So today was leg day.
Short yardage situation here. 2nd down and 1.
How his legs now?
You know what? His legs kept him moving, but it was unfortunately the fact that there were too many guys, too many guys who shed their blocks, and those were two great break tackles, but he needed the third, or he needed a fall forward that he didn't have.
I'll take 2 a play all day.
Yeah, no, I would as well, especially from a quarterback.
It's 3rd down, and this offense is about 3 feet away from that 1st down marker. Fires out quickly to the tailback. Touchdown, Cougars.
And the Pauly Shore turns the halfback angle route not only into a 1st down, but a touchdown. Bring up Washington State 16, probably soon to be 17, to nothing. But USC plenty of time before the half, 2 minutes and 53 seconds.
Everyone's all lined up and ready for the kickoff. He just drills this one. He's to the 10. Brought down at the 21-yard line. It's still only the 2nd quarter. We've got a lot of football left, but I got to say, this one one is teetering on the brink of a blowout. He's out to the 30. Tackle around the 35-yard line.
It's great when a running attack comes through for the first down like this. It makes an offense so much more versatile.
Excellent read option there for his first down for USC. I was surprised that I could have sworn he got one earlier. But I guess he must have gotten to 3rd and short.
And he's tackled at about the 35.
As Washington State clearly continues to have a good handle on who to be covering, or at least how to cover the option coming out of USC. This isn't entirely surprising. Washington State coach Spectre has been in the Pac-12 for a long time. The Pac-12 is a option and passing conference, so the fact that he's doing well against the pass and doing well against the option, entirely unsurprising. This is the kind of stuff he sees with Oregon and UCLA and the rest of the Pac-12 that he sees on a regular basis. As we hit the 2-minute drill, 3rd and 6 for USC on their own 39-yard line. A very important play here for Coach Jocular. That was an interesting, aggressive defensive manual from Washington State. He left the guy he was covering in order to rush the quarterback for the sack. He managed to do so in a way that didn't that stayed with the defender between the quarterback and the receiver he was leaving, so as not to make the pass possible, but a very aggressive manual move there in order to get no gain on 3rd down. As we see a pretty solid punt from USC, giving Washington State a minute 24 before the half. One timeout, having spent one in the last possession and one on the very first possession of the game. About 78 yards to go. Vincent Vega, due to the defender electing not to throw and risk the tip.
Rolls to his right, and they got him.
Absolutely perfect call by the defensive coordinator. He brought just the right amount of pressure from the right direction, and it seemed to confuse the offense.
The Trojans taking their first time out of the half.
So 3rd and 10, USC calling a timeout, seeing if they can't get the ball back with a chance to do something under a minute. We'll see what happens with Washington State on 3rd and long.
In the shotgun and 5 wideouts. He's taken down.
An excellent reception there from Ernst Blofeld off of a 3rd and long pass that I don't know that we've seen much before from Washington State. But now the clock is rolling with 50 seconds left.
He scrambled. Makes the grab and steps out right away.
This passing game can be very effective.
And it was an excellent catch there, and then out of bounds from Voorhees. Incredible timing, I have to say, to know that not only was he going to be there, but the coverage on Blofeld was going to move out of the way at the right time because Blofeld turned upfield. That was Blofeld, right? Okay.
First down, 10 yards to go. Ball on the 47. They're going to have to rush to the line. Scrambling around. Goes quick to the receiver and falls incomplete.
Wide open receiver, but Vince Vega threw off.
Wide open. You spend all those hours during the week to be able to get prepped and ready to go. You got an open man like this, just step and deliver and make the throw.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Ball on their own 47. He rolls out to the left. Tackle made around the 33-yard line. Now he tries to buy some time. Oh, and almost picked off.
You don't want to ever give your opponent a second chance, but that's exactly what they did by not making that interception.
This is the eighth play of this drive. Throws in a hurry. Incomplete.
Ooh. The incompletion this time to Ryan Leaf. Made that last game. Hey, Coach Seawack, congratulations. Congratulations. You'll get the memo at halftime. Don't worry about it. You got 25 seconds to see what you can do from the 35-yard line for Washington State. No worries, Seawack.
And this is the 10th play of the drive.
Oh, Jesus.
And here's a quick throw. In the
Horrible
air.
off target.
It's intercepted.
A very uncharacteristic throw from Vincent Vega directly to an opponent corner. We'll see what USC wants to do from their own 6-yard line with 19 seconds and 2 timeouts.
They line up at the 6. First down. And down he goes. Right around the
You run the ball and get 1 yard.
yard of anything.
And they're not don't appear to be stopping the clock. So I'll take this opportunity to say thank you, Coach Seawack, for joining us last weekend, being so kind as to make the trip despite your broken car to come and provide color commentary to my and Coach Spectre's head-to-head game that we played last weekend. We really appreciate it, and we enjoyed hanging out with you while you were here. And hopefully everything is now hunky-dory with your transport. All right, so it's halftime. We're going to take a quick break for a couple of minutes, give everybody time to stretch and grab a beer and all of that. I know I need to run to the little announcer's room, and we'll be back shortly. All right, I'm going to quickly check in with Coach Jocular. Oh, and looks like he's already told us that he's ready to go, so we'll get started. Very nice. You'll be happy to know, Coach Siwak, that tonight's game is brought to you by all the wonderful beer that we didn't finish drinking last week because we just didn't have enough time. There weren't enough hours in the day, despite the fact that we tried very hard to make sure there were.
He got all of this one. Great kick. He's to the 10. He's to the 20. He's taken down at the 19.
Not as good a return as last time for USC to start off the third, but fortunately, they do start off the third with the ball. Let's see what they can do in the second half. What adjustments Coach Jocular can make to this innovative USC defense. I don't know that I haven't seen it, at least from this side of the field before. Maybe I saw it against me last game. I don't know. Hello, Mr. Tate. It is a pleasure to have you. We are just kicking off the second half of Week 4's user matchup between the number 1 Washington State, coached by my good friend and color commentating colleague, Coach Spectre, and USC's Coach Jocular. Currently unranked due to a poor performance, which led to the job being available last season, and a loss to Coach Siwak's Houston in an earlier week. But we do expect good things out of USC in the Pac-12 South, and we'll see what they've got in the third quarter. As we can see that still a little bit of happy feet, and consistently when he's missing, USC's quarterback is missing by overthrowing. So we'll see what if anything can be done about that. As USC brings 5 wide receivers onto the field at 3rd and 8, his own 21-yard line. So this is what we call Season 10. It is the either 4th or 5th season of our online dynasty. We ran 5 seasons of the offline dynasty. Yes, so 5 and 5 now. So yes, we ran five seasons of an offline dynasty, and then people moved, and we transitioned to an online dynasty, and this is the 4th week of the 5th season of that. So I am not playing this game. It's a coach next to me is notes that it's a common misconception. A lot of people think that the person giving the color is the player, and while that's true on most of Twitch most of the time, it's true for most games on Twitch. It is. But in this case, no, this is something where I provide play-by-play and color commentary on Coach Spectre's games as the coach of Washington State, and he provides play-by-play and color commentary on my games as Penn State, because it makes it more reasonable. It makes it something like, I don't know that I would want to comment on my own games in a league where nobody else was doing it and we were all competitive. Because I think it's distracting if you're the guy trying to both provide commentary and play it. I think that would be unfair, but I think we found a nice place where Coach ignores me while he plays his game, and I ignore him while I play mine, and it provides a wonderful viewing product for a couple of people on Twitch, and mostly our fellow league members who want to see our games and scout our players and know what the hell we're going to do, because they want to win just as much as we do. An excellent coverage and pass rush there from USC. not a whole lot of production offensively from USC, but the defense has been pretty good. Getting Vincent Vega to have to make tough decisions as opposed to make easy decisions, which really is step one against Washington State. Washington State's a team that scores regularly 40, 50 points a game, and keeping them to 17 points and a half is pretty good.
So an empty backfield with 5 wide receivers. He's scrambling. And he throws right away. Got it. Complete. He's out of bounds.
Coach Spectre, you'll be glad to know that CWAC's response was to that last bit was yup, I scout. So no one currently has Auburn. In the offline version of the dynasty, Coach Spectre started with Maryland and got the Auburn job and held the Auburn job for a couple of years before moving to Notre Dame. But nobody currently has the Auburn job. Coach Spectre actually got offered the Auburn job in the first coaching carousel of the online dynasty and turned it down because he'd done it before, and he might now regret that. But if it was offered to him now, he'd definitely take it. So no one currently has Auburn. But one of the important things to note is that in this dynasty, everybody starts at a one-star school. So everybody who started when we started despite Coach Spectre being at Notre Dame and myself being at Michigan, in the 5th season of the offline dynasty, when we started the online, everybody started at a one-star school. So Coach Spectre started at Washington State, who's a 1-star in year 1. I started at Florida International. Someone else started at Florida Atlantic. Someone started at Tulane. Someone started at UL Lafayette. A tough throw into coverage and a good interception there from USC based on not pressing the quarterback and knowing that based on down and distance they could play coverage there. We'll see if the momentum does anything to make USC's offensive play tick a bit quicker as they bring 2 halfbacks out on the field. A good pass on 2nd and 9, and even if that hadn't been a first down, even if it got to 3rd and inches, that'd still be a great play. It's a bit better because it got it, but that was a good pass to a guy who was covered the right way for the way that route cut for the offensive side of the ball. As this time, USC's quarterback is the one who gets outside the tackles and runs for the first down. However, he decides to not take it out of bounds. And we'll see what that might do for Jared Fogle at quarterback. No, this is on Xbox 360.
Now he tries to buy some time. Room around the corner.
Another quarterback keeper from Jared Fogle gets 2nd and 2.
And about 2 yards to go.
No problem, Jerome. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to give you any other details about the game. I think the most pertinent is, of course, that we play on Heisman with the sliders from JKits on operationsports.com. It makes it as realistic as possible, as difficult as possible, so that, you know, the likelihood of a user going undefeated is about the same as the likelihood of a AI team like Texas or A&M or Alabama who doesn't play a user going undefeated, which is to say unlikely, in order to make everything be competitive between the user and a user, the user and the AI and the AI. We want everything to be competitive and interesting. And that, of course, means making it hard. As we see another solid run out of USC. Their running game, they're playing a lot of it. It's been hit or miss. Yes, sliders, JKits. If you Google Operation Sports JKits, it'll give you a lot more information. But the crux of it is that we want it to be hard. There's no assists to speed. There's no assists to user pass blocking. Just because we want to make everybody work. And yes, the winner of the most national championships is Coach Spectre with, I believe, 6. One other user has a national championship, although he has since retired from the league. Coach Joe Malibu. But the reason you're looking at Washington State as being number 1 is because Coach Spectre is very good. He is the one who taught most of us how to play this game, and we're getting better. We're being competitive with him. I think a lot of us give him a good run for his money. But year in, year out, he's the one we're all trying to beat. Not too often. We started with a group of 4, and then 5, and then we've maybe added. We probably haven't added 1 person per season because we've got 7 people now. But we part of the thing is we all know each other. We're all friends in life. Spectre and CWAC worked together. Myself and Spectre lived together. We all know a lot of we all know each other from school or from life or from work, and that's how we've expanded the league to keep it really a group of friends. So we don't have people joining all that often. But we're not opposed intrinsically to the idea of someone we only know digitally joining the game, but it hasn't happened yet. But we've only been streaming for a little while. This is the 2nd season we've been streaming. We streamed, I think, starting week 3 or 2 last season, and we've been streaming since then. And if it comes up, great. And if it doesn't, we'll keep going with everybody we've got, because we've got a great group who's playing a lot of great football at a lot of different levels. As Vincent Vega scrambles for first down. I think that's one thing I do want to say is that while definitely on this Twitch stream you're getting Washington State, you're getting Penn State, and while I'm reluctant to say this about myself, I am confident to say this about Washington State. Washington State, you are seeing the best player in our league. I'm probably top 3. I approach things like a science, and I've put a lot of effort into trying to learn. That's what I'll say, and I think I'm pretty good. But that said, a number of people in our league only picked up this game in the last season for the first time since 2006 or whatever, and are playing a lot of really interesting football at lower levels with 1- and 2-star teams, where Coach Spectre and I are seeing them learn a lot over the course of the season at places like Purdue and North Texas, where we really enjoy seeing them learn how to play the game. So there's a lot of that in this league as well. We all want to learn. We all want to move forward. I don't think any of us want to play a season where we're doing the same thing we were doing the season before. Well, thank you, Tate. I appreciate that. It's something where, first and foremost, we started doing this in order to have a thing that other members of the league could watch, but we love having people follow us and show up for our games. So you can expect more games in the future on Friday nights and Saturdays. That seems to be where we're probably going to be playing our games for at least the duration of the NFL and college football season. Once again, on first down, Washington State spreads out the defense 5 wide and scrambles for good yardage and takes the wind out of Vincent Vega's lungs. Yeah, I guess that's one thing that I will say here. A lot of those first down long yardage runs on the 5 wide is because of a pre-snap read that coach tells me he's seeing. He's seeing a specific movement out of the defense, and that's why he's doing that. We will of course make sure that that Coach DrJocular gets the game tape. Norfolk State, where there are so many places named Norfolk. I have to believe you might be talking about Norfolk, Virginia, and I think Coach Spectre thinks Norfolk State might be, if it's Virginia, might be the Spartans, but I don't know. I would love to be able to play some of the other schools. Mainly because I'd love to play Harvard. I love my academic schools. That's a real deal breaker for me. I won't go to a school I feel is poor academically. As we see a really, honestly, I think, I don't know if it was the user. I think it was the player. I think the player made a good strip. I don't think it was strictly a fumble. I think it was a good strip. In order to get the turnover there. But yeah, no, some of that stuff would be great to see. Jerome, I would, as I said, love to play uphill with Harvard. I'd love to see what I could do with Harvard. And apparently it's a thing you used to be able to do in early games. I didn't play. I think before. So we had what I like to call year 0, where we got through about half of a season before we had some technical issues and decided we needed to dial things back a bit and make things harder. But that was, we played about 5 games there. I had played maybe 6 games of Madden before that. That was my experience before we started year 1. Was half a dozen games of Madden and half a dozen games of NCAA, and that's where I was in year 1. Rice is in the game. Rice is a Big 12 team. Oh, sorry. Rice is a Conference USA team. I apologize.
From the 46-yard line, it's second down. And he's taken down at the 35-yard line.
The quarterback that time took it.
Yeah, Rice is good. If you're talking academic schools, I'm pretty happy at Penn State at the moment. They're not the greatest academically, but they're solid. I'd love to be. I think my dream school is probably Stanford, because they're a true academically stellar school, with a great football team, and a great football team that does the kind of things that I like to do. So you're not watching me play; you're watching Coach Spectre play. He plays a scrambling quarterback in a way that I don't. He plays a lot of 5 wide in a way that I don't. I like passing to the tight end. I like running up the gut, and Stanford's good for that. Stanford's definitely my dream school in NCAA. If I am ever tempted to move away from Penn State, which would be hard at this point because I've done a lot of recruiting for them. As we see a good interception on the part of, mainly because it was good coverage. It was James Joyce, who's an impressive player, but I think based on the route I saw being run and where the player was, James Joyce didn't have to make a whole lot of adjustments in order to get to that ball. As the juke move puts about 30 extra yards on the run by Vincent Vega.
I can't say enough good things about this guy. He's been making runs like this throughout his entire college career.
Because you guys haven't heard it yet, because I've been lax in this. I should do this.
Vincent Vega, our man in Amsterdam.
He's a star, and as I have, 2-time Heisman winner, as I've said many times before, if Vincent Vega doesn't do it at Washington State, it does not get done. He is a fantastic player. Has been since he came in mid-game a couple of years ago. He was not a starter. He was a backup, and the decision was made mid-game against another user to bring in Vincent Vega because not having a mobile quarterback was deemed to be unacceptable. And he has now been, since then, undefeated as a starter. He lost that game where he came in late in the third.
Second down.
30. No, this will be 30. 29 now.
And it has 29. Currently has 29 wins as a starter. As we see John McClain come in order to give Vincent Vega a rest. I talked about in the first half. Vincent Vega is an athlete. He's recruited as an athlete. It means he doesn't necessarily have the arm strength, arm accuracy, but he's got more of true quarterbacks, of guys who are only quarterbacks. But just because Vincent Vega is very good at so many things, at so much athleticism and quarterbackness and awareness. Nobody is better at throwing on the run than Vincent Vega. But what Vincent Vega doesn't have is a whole lot of wind in his sails. He does not have great stamina. It's not a matter of having strong legs. He's got strong legs. He skips cardio. That's what he skips.
Just ask him about it.
And to be fair, Washington State asks a lot of him because, as I said, if Vincent Vega ain't doing it, it does not get done. With 4 minutes and a half left in the fourth. Washington State 17, USC 0. As the coverage, as the coverage and the good aggressive move from USC gets the sack for loss of yardage. Jerome, you'll have to explain to me what I don't know what RTG means. Road to
Rubber and injury to the player. It's like the career mode in FIFA.
Okay. I've been told it's where you play the individual. Yeah, that makes sense. That could be something interesting. I know that, for example, the most recent FIFAs, like, I love the career mode, like the individual mode of FIFA in recent years. I adore it. That's a great break tackle there from Vincent Vega. And a good juke. I thought he was going to slide there. I haven't actually played Road to Glory. I've played nothing but Dynasty. Every so often, if I've got something new that I want to learn, I start a new Dynasty and play something specific for a season or two.
Michigan State. That's good.
Sorry, what?
Learn the 3-3-5. You did Michigan State.
Yeah. So I haven't ever experimented with Road to Glory, but that might be an interesting thing to do. For example, when we moved to the current sliders that we've got, I also was that season moving from UConn to Michigan. So I made a dynasty with as close to the Michigan roster that I was going to have as I could get, and put on the new sliders and played a whole dynasty. This most recent year, I've had to switch to a 3-3-5 from a 4-3 defense, and this is new and alien to me, and I still don't like it. But I played an entire season of 3-3-5 in the 2-week off season. Like, we had this 2-week off season period from when our championships were to when week 1 began of the next season. I played a whole season running a 3-3-5 in those 2 weeks in order to get up to speed with a 3-3-5 because I needed to learn it. But I haven't played Road to Glory, and that might someday be a thing that'd be interesting to do. Tate, I agree with you. I like ground and pound. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I love it. Give me a good fullback. Give me a great offensive line. But part of the thing about it is we do set user running back ability to 0. So that's a thing where if you want to ground and pound in our dynasty, you've got to know how to follow your blockers. You've got to know how to set stiff arms. You got to, but even before that, because so much of that is only really useful when you get past the offensive line into the linebackers. You've got to know how to set up to say, I'm going to run right in this way, in this ISO or this slam or this whatever, enough times that it mean, for 2 yards, that I'm going to get 8 yards when I do this other thing that looks close enough but does something different. And that's one of the reasons I continue to play this game. One of the reasons I continue to love this game is it's very much so a thing where if I do this now, this will be useful later. And this is a case where you're seeing this on third and 1 here, where Washington State wasn't particularly in a position. I don't think it didn't seem like the formation and whatnot that Washington State came out in there. I hadn't seen it enough this game for me to say, oh, he's done this a lot and therefore could do this to exploit it. But he's also in a position where he doesn't need to take a huge risk at 3rd and 1. As it is now 20-0, Washington State is kicking off to USC with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left on the clock.
2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Up the middle for a nice game. Nice run there. Tackle made at the 40-yard line.
As we see now, 2nd and 10 after the quick first down, but that clock is moving. We see 1:40 left on the clock for USC. Try and do something late. Get some points on the board in this game against Washington State. As once again, the speed of Washington State make sure that it's 3rd and 9 for USC. Washington State, you will be unsurprised to learn, defensively is a strong believer that speed kills on defense.
Third down now, and they need to get it out to the 50. They come out in a 5-wide set. Now he tries to buy some time. Catches it.
I don't think you're wrong, but we're seeing a pretty weird seeing a pretty weird glitch here as USC had an invisible receiver.
Still? It does.
Yeah, Bell is currently invisible.
In the gun.
No, anymore.
The Cougars taking their first down.
How do I answer that?
It's difficult I mean, somebody put on the Ring of Power and started running routes. I'm not sure where they got it from, but definitely the Eye of Sauron is upon them now.
From the 34-yard line.
As Bell returns to the land of the visible.
Tackle after a decent run up the gut.
2nd and 2, 53 seconds and counting on the clock.
Under a minute left in the game. Quick shot.
As the quick hit there from Washington State makes sure that USC cannot hold onto the ball. 3rd and 2, 27-yard line. The Maryland Terps, especially in year one, like with the default roster of this game, is a good team. Is really, I mean, calling them a 3-star I think is underrated. That's an excellent roster. So I'm not surprised that if you had a good play call, if you play call well against someone playing USC, I'm not surprised you beat them with Maryland Terps. Maryland Terps are a good team. I like Maryland a lot. I'll be honest, they do a lot of things that I like.
Fourth down. They're going to try a long.
I will say I don't know what a Zengum League is though.
It's up. Looks long enough.
And there we go. USC gets away without the shutout. As we now see how they're going to kick with 37 seconds.
And it looks like they're going to try an onside kick here. And he's tackled.
Johannes Brahms there for the recovery of the onside kick for Washington State. USC only with one timeout, 35 seconds left to go on the clock. Not a tremendous amount they can do at this point.
Well, the guys are chomping at the bit down there, waiting for the game to start back up. USC will take their last time out.
Zen GM. Okay, I don't know what that is either, but it's a thing apparently, and I believe you. I imagine it's some sort of sliders or way of organizing. I don't particularly actually probably need to know. But best of luck in your ongoing league. As I said, Maryland, good team. I think you can do well with them.
The offense did pick up 3. We less than a minute to go. The offense lining up in a victory formation.
As Washington State takes the knee to end that game.
Fight, fight, fight for Washington State. Win the victory. Win the day for Crimson and Gray. Best in the West, we know you'll all do your best. So on, fight till the end. Honor and glory you must win. So fight, fight, fight for Washington State and victory.
An impressive performance, I think actually both from USC and Washington State. As I've said, USC, this is a high-scoring team. They've got an average of 35 points a game. You keep them to 20, you are doing something right on defense. USC didn't have enough going for it on offense. Washington State played excellent defense against USC, and to me, that's the biggest difference in this game is Washington State's ability to limit USC to points until the very last possession of the game. I want to quickly apologize because I see a couple of people who just joined us in chat. Unfortunately, our game just ended. We are just wrapping up Washington State over USC at USC 20-3 with an excellent hopping reception there for that touchdown. So look forward to probably, I'm going to check our schedule real quick, more games next Friday. I want to check our schedule, see who it's going to be in Week 5. Army's having a good year this year. Yeah, impressive. They both. Yeah. So next week you can expect probably about the same time on Friday night, Penn State versus Illinois and Washington State versus Arizona. These are both user versus AI teams. Myself as Penn State and Coach Spectre as Washington State. You just watched. USC versus Washington State. Coach Spectre versus Coach Jocular. Once again, Vincent Vega having a fantastic game. 182 yards on the ground, 183 yards in the air, or maybe vice versa. Held Dustin Cade to less than 100. And again, actually, I'm going to say impressive on multiple counts here. Washington State keeping USC to less than 100 rushing yards and less than 100 passing yards, but also keeping Washington State to less than 250 passing yards. From USC's point of view, they gave almost 200 rushing yards, but they got 3 turnovers, and they did a really good job against the passing game, and they gave up the rushing game. Okay, that's fine. You want to do that? That's a good plan against USC. That's a good plan. So no, Tate, we won't be streaming tomorrow. We do 1 week per week real time. We got 7 people. It makes it manageable in real time. So we won't have any streaming for you tomorrow, unfortunately. There's probably a month's worth of games on my Twitch that you can go back and watch the video on demand of if you'd like, including last week's game between myself and Washington State, which was a great game, as this was a great game. But no, we don't put out a tremendous amount of volume. We put out usually a doubleheader a week, except at the beginning of the season where there are a lot of buys and a lot of user games. But we really appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to everybody who's going to join us next week for Washington State at Arizona and Illinois at Penn State. Any final thoughts, Coach Spectre? So Coach says he's really happy with the defense. He thought they played stellar. They gave up the ball 3 times, but only gave up 3 points. And I think he's right. That's that's a fantastic, for giving up that many turnovers. That's a fantastic score, and I think that's probably where to leave it. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see everybody next week. Have a good evening.